Does God of War 3's art style suck is a question that's been in my mind for a very long time. For the longest, my thought process about the answer to the question was almost always a yes, but lately I've been recording a new walkthrough of mine for better showcases and thought deeper about it, and my mind kinda changed. You see, the art style in God of War 3 has been called somewhat ugly and grey by a lot of people, and I feel like
there are reasons for that.
that sentence is sound when you hear it and when you remember God of War 3, but here's the problem. You're kinda remembering it wrong. You see, the grey filter argument has been thrown around when talking God of War 3 art style. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking art style, not physics and the beautiful realistic graphics over here. Back to our main point, when you take a look at how the predecessor looked, you will see the wide difference. God of War 2 is vibrant, saturated, and colorful. The aim for realism is of course there with the body designs and the movements, but the art style did not get sacrificed in the making. Kratos' tattoo is a very bright red that you can see a mile away in God of War 2, while Kratos' quote-unquote red tattoo looks black in most spots in God of War 3. Which gets me to my next point. God of War 3's art style sucks for the most part. Right? Here's where it gets kinda fishy. God of War 3's art does not suck. It's simply bad for some sections, but the problem is that these sections stick out like a sore thumb. Let's take it to the start of the game where the game is beautiful. The blue colors in here are popping, everything is vibrant, and the colors are explosive. Then Zeus decides to send our ass back to Hades. You spent quite the time in this place that has no colors. It does have spots that, thanks to the awesome reflections of God of War 3, do make the art stand out and look good, but mostly you're looking at this. And this does not stand a chance against this. The graphics are there, but the life of the game is sucked out in some sections, mostly when you enter the Palace of Hades. When you're outside or near Hephaestus, the game is still solid is what I think. It turns grey and dirty the moment you enter the Palace of Hades, who's pissed about us butchering his
Beautiful queen.
Anyways, we get out and we see some of the best sceneries in like ever in the city of Olympia. This place is beautiful and the game does not hold back. The colors of everything, even when you're in the dark, are beautiful. The paints, the backgrounds, Kratos moving alongside these places. The beauty in the sun shining on the city can never be described. Your weapons are vibrant and are reflecting light, same with your fleas, and the enemies are also complementing this entire place that you're standing on. Even while being inside, the lighting and the vibe stays colorful, just like God of War 2. This keeps up until... This game has a thing for fucking up beautiful and colorful sections that make the art style stand out, and turning them into, well, this. Take a small look at my surroundings in this place. It's right, it makes sense, it's nighttime, but it looks ugly. The beautiful colors of everything around us suddenly died and the environment's ruined for the rest of the game. This is thematically a good thing since we can see how Kratos is a villain and how he's destroying this world, but we're gonna leave that for another video. Get used to it, cause that's how outside sections are gonna look for the rest of the game, except for one section that we're gonna get to later. The game slowly makes things better with this section after that you don't quite remember looking this good. Same with the caverns. The setting and the art style shines in the caverns, and later when you climb the chain, there's a development error here and I can't unsee it now. I also know you guys are gonna hate me, but this beautiful scenery is not supposed to look like this. It's invalid. How's there sun out there when we just took the sun out of the sky by killing Helios? Again, I'm really sorry for being the party pooper here, but it's true. This scenery is invalid and it fucks with the connectivity of the level design. I mean, I guess you could make the argument of the mountain being over the clouds, but it doesn't make sense. This scenery does not make sense. It's not supposed to look like this. It's supposed to look like nighttime, but still one of my favorite sceneries, whatever. Anyways, we move up to the chamber, and how can I describe how beautiful this place looks? Every angle, the flames, the floor, the walls, the lights, so beautiful. It's so beautiful to the point where you forget it because you're outside again, chasing Hermes in this ugly setting. Yup, sorry for ruining the party again. This is a formula this game follows. This entire chase sequence makes the game look ugly. Nighttime was done miles better in Ascension. I just wish they nailed it here just like they did in the beautiful God of War Ascension. The moment we kill Helios is when the game's art design suffers for the most part. It is balanced out with the beautiful sections, but it sadly stands out as it is very ugly. It gets especially ugly after we acquire the fake Jordans. This whole section has a very nice encounter, one of my favorites actually. But just look at this setting. I mean, can you even tell what color this chest is? Can you tell which one of these guys is Jimmy? Now again, this gets its opposite when we enter the chamber again from another side. And the game simply pops and life gets breathed into the game again. It looks very nice. Awesome hallways that not only show the best of the game's art style, but also some nicely designed architecture that require a separate video. Again, you keep fighting and solving puzzles until you get out again, and this time it's not the worst thing in the universe. It's still gray and old and ugly for the most part, but you don't notice it because you're absorbed by the awesome music playing here! This is a specific part in the game where the ugliness works in its favor since you rearrange the face of Disney's Hercules. You go down and as always, popping colors and beautiful art in contrast to the gray and ugly sections we just went through. Then broken up by a little more ugliness. Then some beautiful sceneries, baby! 10 out of 10! The game picks up quite well, especially with you approaching Tartarus, and my god, I mean look at this place. It should be illegal to look this beautiful and vibrant. Everything in here is enhanced to the max. Every color is the most beautiful in here, and there's no competition. Look at this place. You would suddenly hate the people who say the art style is ugly. Until these people are proven right, when in the next section we have this piece of section. Now when I say piece of I mean the art style. Now when I say piece of shit, I mean the art style, of course. The combat is phenomenal here. The puzzle is one of my favorites. I'm just talking art style. Just what am I looking at here? Why is Kratos looking so powdery? I know it makes sense, ladies and gentlemen, but this specific reason is why a lot of people call this game's art style boring and gray. This kinda overshadows the beautiful sceneries in the game because you stay here for too long. This is what you're looking at for nearly half an hour on your first walkthrough. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. Again, this whole game should look like this. Even a little less, but still. The game regains itself, but it's kinda underwhelming this time. We should have at least visited a new area after this instead of returning back to the caverns. Don't get me wrong, the caverns are one hell of a vibe, but after all the ugliness you would expect a mad, beautiful place like the city of Olympia or Tartarus. The caverns is amazing, but it's underwhelming because this is the second time we visited, so the player have already seen this art approach. I wish we visited Freya's house.
Freya! Open the door!
Moving on, after fixing the labyrinth, we enter it and it looks solid for the most part. Not too bad, not too good. We rise up and fix it all together and the game looks gorgeous. Seriously, this whole entire place is just so vibey when you fix the entire labyrinth. It just feels like you did something insane again, just like you did in God of War 1 and 2. Again, this is broken up by another visit to Hades, which I like the setting, don't get me wrong, but there are better spots when it comes to looks. This is fine, we missed this place, it's all good. Then you all know how this plays out. We go back to the chamber to see this beautiful art style at its best, especially this first fight against Zeus. Like, the colors are so beautiful, the art style is amazing, until it gets skull fucked again. And then it's slightly less ugly when we're inside of Gaia, but that's all. It's not so bad inside of Gaia, but just like, I mean, hear me out. The game has a problem when you're in-house for some spots. Gaia's Heart is also one of them. All you see is black and yellow with gray filtered all over it. The rest of the game is what makes people think this whole game's art style sucks. It stands out and is ugly. You could of course have the argument of it being perfectly reasonable. This world is destroyed and it needs a darker tone, but art style and the handling of atmosphere shouldn't be thrown out the window for the sake of it. God of War Ghost of Sparta had a dark tone, but the game's colors and vibrance is consistent throughout. Why can't this game have that? Now I'm sure you noticed a pattern there. The game constantly shifts between having this beautiful setting into this ugly setting, and they kept doing this back and forth and it never stopped. I get what they were going with. Obviously this is a dark story and a dark tone is needed for the game, but it was mostly done poorly. The game's art style could have been good with one or two sections with this ugly gray thing I'm looking at right now. and not have it be prevalent and constantly contrast how the main game looks and how it could look if they didn't mess a lot with the colors. So the answer, no, it does not suck. It sucks for some spots that stand out, and that basically outweighs the good parts, resulting in a lot of people, including me, somewhat disliking the art style as a whole. It's definitely not my number one when it comes to art style, that will always go to God of War 2, but it is certainly a close second. Just wish we didn't get so repetitive with the areas and settings in this game.